Hello everyone and welcome to another exciting edition of the Squared Circle. I'm Shawn Credle along with Bray. And Mark, we are live on location at the Eastern Wrestling Alliance live event here in Parkville, Maryland.
Shawn, I gotta tell you, what better place to have our show after the big week of January 4th, 2010 than right here where the superstars of tomorrow are learning their craft.
That's right. We will talk to some of the EWA superstars a little bit later on, but right now we need to focus on the big evening that was January 4th, 2010, and what a night it was. Let's start with TNA Impact, and can you believe what happened? One surprise after another, just an incredible night, but what will it mean in the grand scheme for TNA?
Well, I tell you what, just like millions of wrestling fans, I sat on my couch and I did what I used to do. I did the old flip back and forth, and I gotta tell you, a lot of people said it reminded them of WCW Monday Nitro, and yes, it did, but at the same time, it's also a welcomed refreshment, a refreshing change than from what's going on right now.
Oh, I agree. You know, while we were watching the show, everyone was on Facebook, everyone was on Twitter, you were texting back and forth. Did you see this? Did you see this? It was, you know, it was an exciting time, and at least for one night, you know, it brought us back to the golden age of wrestling during the Attitude versus NWO versus ECW era, where you flip back and forth and we're wondering what could possibly go next.
Right, well, you know what? Let's just get right into it. TNA Impact for the first time live last Monday night, January 4th, 2010. So much speculation about what was going to happen, who was going to show up, and right from the get-go, they tried to shoot for the stars.
Yes, they did. In the first hour alone, the uncontested first hour, we saw Jeff Hardy, former WWE and World Heavyweight Champion. We saw Nature Boy Ric Flair, another former multi-time World Champion. And of course, as conveniently as before, at 8:57 p.m., we saw the appearance of Hulk Hogan. So just this one surprise after another, but they threw the three biggest ones right in that uncontested hour.
Well, I tell you what, right from the get-go, when Jeff Hardy made his way through the crowd, I gotta tell you, I was shocked. None of our sources here at the Squared Circle had told us that he would be in attendance at the event, but not a part of the event. And I gotta tell you, that caught me off guard, and that is good job, Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan and the rest of TNA for pulling that one out.
That's right. Jeff Hardy originally was just accompanying Shannon Moore to the event, but as of course we found out, he would sign a short-term contract that he will be there at least for a couple of months. And this will definitely help him, you know, because there's a lot of legal issues that he's going through right now. But TNA doesn't seem to mind. They're going to use him primarily on Impact. So
well, later on in the program, of course, you had people like Scott Hall show up. You had Eric Bischoff. You had Ric Flair, Val Venus. Now, do you think that this is the beginning of a resurgence of another Monday Night War?
It's very possible, but there's one thing that has to happen. It can't happen for just one night only. You know, this is, granted, this was a test to see whether or not they could draw a crowd, and that's exactly what they did. You know, the final rating came in, and it was at an average of about a 1.5. But the thing is, if they start and do it every single Monday night, can they maintain that audience and make it grow when you're facing the juggernaut that is World Wrestling Entertainment?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I think that they can. And remember, I mean, there's other people now, there are other things that they have to stay away from. And you see that because they're like, here come the Nasty Boys again. You know, guys like Orlando Jordan, you know, other people that may not have been super successful in WWE. But, you know, what place will they have as far as TNA is concerned? And what happens to the TNA originals? Do they get pushed aside because of all these new people that are coming in? We're talking about 10 people that debuted in one night, and they're already advertising yet another surprise for their Genesis pay-per-view coming up on the 17th.
Well, I tell you, TNA has the talent. They have a locker room full of talented guys. But the question is, do they have the writing behind them? Do they have the people behind them that will create these characters and help them grow? Or are we going to see what happened in the old Turner days? And are we going to see these guys show up and steal the limelight?
Well, that's exactly what happened. I mean, if you think about it, WCW had all of the superstars, but a lot of the issue was with the writing and every issue going on backstage. And even one time, I remember they had, which is what TNA has right now, Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo in there at the same time. And it did not work then. I don't know if it's going to work now, but hey, we're along for the ride, so let's see what happens.
I see, you know, and I look forward to it. I think it can't be bad, and it looks like now that the bigwigs at Spike TV are actually in talks now with TNA to bring TNA Impact to a Monday night time slot. So I say, let's go for it.
Yeah. Now for Spike TV, it's going to cost a little bit more money, bigger, larger investment, obviously, but one that's going to have to be made if they want to compete, because the more money you spend, as Hulk Hogan put it, the more money you're going to make.
Absolutely.
And so if they can do that, you know, and there's more changes to come. I think one, the 6-sided ring is probably going to go. They've already decided that Steel Asylum match that you saw that opened the show will never, ever happen again. And there are other changes that are coming on, including getting out of the Impact Zone, which I think is another major thing that
I think that'll be very helpful.
If they can do all of that but still stay within a reasonable budget, I think they'll be okay.
Absolutely. Now, on the flip side of the entertainment world, on sports entertainment, Vince McMahon and the WWE held Monday Night Raw from Dayton, Ohio, and did everything as planned, as if TNA wasn't even there, except for one major change. When we come back, we're going to talk about the return of one of the most decorated superstars in WWE history.